Good morning, and thank you all for joining us. With me this morning are Britta Fisher, Executive Director of Housing Stability, Euless Cleckley, Executive Director of the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, and Matt Mueller, our Executive Director for the Office of Emergency Management. We got what could be potentially a major winter storm heading our way, and beginning in the next few hours with possibility of bringing anywhere from 1.5 feet to 3 feet of snow to the metro area. Those projections seem to be holding from what was being projected just a few days ago when the storm first started to form. So we've been getting ready to respond to whatever we see in the way of accumulation here in Denver. I want to start with this. First, as my management, please don't drive if you don't have to this weekend, so we can minimize any traffic issues as well as give our plows plenty of space they need to operate and keep the roads as clear as possible. If you do not have to drive, or if you do have to drive anywhere, we ask you to drive slowly and to use caution. Approach intersections carefully and give yourself plenty of time to slow down and stop. Again, please make sure you give way to any plows that are on the street. Give them plenty of space to do their jobs. We also ask for your patience. This is going to be a pretty significant storm hitting us, potentially a great deal of accumulation on our streets, and we need to make sure that we allow for our plows to operate, but we need to be patient to allow them to get to the areas that they're going to be focused on. As with any storm, Denver is preparing and ready to fully deploy large plows to the main streets, the residential plows to side streets, and heavy equipment, if needed, to lift and move any heavier accumulations of snow caused by drifting. The same goes for Denver International Airport, and they're prepared to manage this storm and assist passengers as needed. DEN will work closely with the FAA throughout the storm to ensure that it is safe to continue operations. Flight delays and cancellations are to be expected, and passengers are strongly encouraged to check their flight status before heading to the airport. We're also going to ramp up efforts to help our unhoused residents get indoors. Outreach workers will be getting in contact with as many people who are out on the streets as possible to help connect them to shelter. And Britta Fisher will talk about our efforts to open up many shelters around the city, some of the emergency shelters to accommodate folks who need to come inside. We also know that this storm will impact COVID vaccination efforts currently underway, which I know is, of course, disappointing to those who have appointments scheduled for this weekend. Our Emergency Operations Center is in contact with the state healthcare providers and clinics located in Denver to monitor any closings of vaccination sites that could occur due to the storm. And if you have an appointment at one of Denver's community-based locations, our partners are working on getting those appointments rescheduled if they need to be rescheduled. So you can expect they will be rescheduled. Our EOC will also activate for the storm to help manage the response, and Matt Mueller will talk about that in just a moment. Britta, Euless, and Matt will have more on all of these in just a moment. Now, when the storm passes, we're going to have some shoveling to do. We ask you to keep an eye out for your neighbors who are older adults, a resident maybe with disability, or a person physically unable to shovel their sidewalk. Neighbors helping neighbors is what we do in Denver during this time, and we do it best, especially when it comes to these type of snowstorms. And so we ask you to be conscious of your neighbors and help where you can. I want to close with this admonishment once again. Please stay in this weekend and stay off the roads if you're able. And let's exercise patience with each other and with the process of clearing our roads. March storms like this are not out of the ordinary. Those of us who've grown up here, those of us who've been here for any considerable amount of time know this is what we expect as winter leaves and the springtime comes in. But we know how bad it can get, and it's important for folks to especially be cautious this weekend and to take care of yourselves and everyone around you. We're going to be ready to address whatever comes our way with this storm, with the amounts that may fall on us. You can help by being ready to stay in a few days. Get your Netflix ready. Get your Apple TV ready. And whatever else you use. grab those snacks and make sure you have plenty of water and set your temperatures accordingly so everyone can be comfortable inside while we go to work externally. So I want to thank you all for being here. I'm going to bring up Euless Cleckley, our Executive Director for our Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, to give us more details on our preparations. Euless?
All right, thank you very much, Mayor. So, as the Mayor indicated, I'm Euless Cleckley, Executive Director of the Denver Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, affectionately known as Dottie. Dottie currently is responding to this snowstorm already. We have been on the streets and we have had our plows deployed since midnight. Our plow drivers are on duty and prepared to run around the clock as long as needed to clear the roadways. We will be addressing the main streets utilizing a fleet of 70 big plows with 65 drivers, each on a 12-hour shift. So we are fully deployed. Residential streets will be addressed with a fleet of 36 pickup trucks. The residential plow drivers will be on duty beginning at 3 p.m. today. They will deploy when snow starts to accumulate, and during each 12-hour shift, they will take a single pass down the center of each residential street. Now, keep in mind that these plows do not bring streets to the bare pavement, nor do they carry de-icer. However, they can be very helpful in clearing a path to the main streets and prevent deep ice ruts. So what should travelers expect? You should expect severe weather conditions later today through late Sunday or early Monday. Snow-packed and iced roadways with limited visibility will be the roadway conditions in the environment. Challenging travel conditions that will likely require several days of continuous plowing operations. And the mayor made mention of the fact that we're asking for everyone's patience. It will take us several days with multiple shifts around the clock to be able to clear all of our streets in an effective manner. So we continue to ask for the public's patience to stay put, if possible, while we are working this particular storm, so you can stay safe and our plow drivers can remain safe. We also anticipate, again, that this would require us to work well into next week with a potential small disturbance happening on Tuesday. So how can you help? Don't drive if you do not have to drive. Give plow drivers room to operate and do their jobs effectively and safely. Also, we're encouraging people not to park in the street if you have another off-street parking option. This will allow our plow drivers to do their jobs effectively and allow room to maneuver in and out of our main streets as well as our local streets. So you can stay up to speed on our snow plan at www.denvergov.org/snow. And you can also follow all of our heavy plows at www.pocketgov.com/plow tracker. So with that being said, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about our update, and we're really very prepared and ready to fight this snowstorm moving forward. Mayor?
We know there are a lot of questions about our on-house neighbors in the city of Denver, and so I'm going to bring up Britta Fisher to discuss how things are going. Britta runs our Housing Stability Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm Britta Fisher with the Department of Housing Stability. Resolving homelessness is a top priority for our city. We address this 365 days a year. This priority is all the more important when severe weather strikes, and it can compound the challenges faced by our unhoused neighbors. We're fortunate here in Denver to have a shelter network that is currently accommodating upwards of 2,200 people per night, which is about 900 more people than 1 year ago, a 60% increase. And our system still has capacity available, approximately 200 more beds per night. But we're not taking any chances with this storm. The Department of Housing Stability has worked closely with our shelter partners and other city departments to prepare for any unexpected complications that might result from this severe weather. For men and transgender individuals experiencing homelessness, we're establishing a standby shelter at the St. Charles Recreation Center, which will stand ready for guests beginning tonight through next Wednesday. 100 cots are already set up and available to help keep people safe from the elements. For women and transgender individuals, we're closely monitoring bed availability across our network, and we stand ready to accommodate guests in motel rooms if needed. Where do people go for shelter? We have transportation to connect guests to our various shelter locations. Men are directed to go to the Lawrence Street Community Center at 2222 Lawrence Street, where day shelter and meals are available. And transportation to individual shelters is also available at that location, including to our standby shelter at the St. Charles Rec Center if needed. Women are directed to access shelter at our Elodie Street shelter at 1370 Elodie Street. From there, access is available to other overflow sites as needed. None of this would be possible without our partners. Denver is very fortunate to have a strong network of nonprofit service providers. And our thanks go out to our many partners, including the Homeless Leadership Council of Denver's largest providers, and to our city departments, including the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, the Department of Parks and Recreation, and our Office of Emergency Management. We all need to lean together as a city each and every day to serve those who are unhoused in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Britta. Obviously, to meet the challenges of a storm like this, it takes a tremendous effort to coordinate all the agencies and the partners across the metropolitan region to make it happen. And the spine in Denver that helps us to do that is the Emergency Operations Center. Matt Mueller is our executive director, and so he's going to come and talk about how we've activated the EOC and the work that they'll be doing during the storm. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Matt Mueller, Director of Emergency Management for the City and County of Denver. So just want to emphasize in terms of the forecast, still a little bit of uncertainty. As the Mayor said, we've had somewhere between 1 and 3 feet of snow. Some of the latest models show around 18 to 20 inches throughout the weekend, with temps getting down into the 20-degree range. Some of the most severe impacts that we need everyone to be aware of: the impassable roads and highways, as well as power outages impacting residences and critical facilities, and then structural damage to buildings and tree limbs. In addition to the city's snow plowing efforts and some of the efforts we heard from Britta about sheltering for persons experiencing homelessness, the city has been preparing for the storm with a multi-agency effort, pre-positioning resources such as cots, blankets, generators, at shelter locations, partnering with the American Red Cross and Denver Parks and Rec to stand up evacuation centers for stranded motorists, ensuring that we have personnel such as electricians and debris management contractors on standby, and partnering with our Denver Public School districts to ensure that we have backup transportation methods in place to assist. And so, as the Mayor said, to coordinate all these efforts, a lot of agencies involved, really takes a big effort on the part of everyone. We will be activating our Emergency Operations Center and our Joint Information Center starting tomorrow morning. Also want to mention, due to the severe weather, that we are rescheduling the vaccination event the city is sponsoring at the Bear Valley Library that was scheduled for Sunday. And additionally, in partnership with the state of Colorado, we've pushed out communication to all of our healthcare providers, encouraging them to postpone their vaccination clinics and events this weekend. We know that vaccine right now is one of the most important things that we can do in the pandemic, but right now we need to be most focused on the weather that is coming our way. And then finally, just want to emphasize a few points. As we heard the mayor say, that we want you to stay home and stay off the roads if at all possible. We know some of you are critical healthcare workers and first responders, and you don't have that luxury, but if you do, please stay home. Also, be prepared for power outages. With these heavy, wet snows, that is one of the greatest threats that we have with this type of storm. So please keep your cell phones charged, make sure you've got fresh batteries in your house and your flashlights at the ready. Remember to shovel your sidewalk. And most importantly, be a great neighbor. It is truly, as the mayor said, neighbors helping neighbor. If you have somebody next to you that isn't able to shovel their walk or might need some extra help, one of the most important things you can do is check in on that individual. So, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Ulyss and Britta. We'll now all stand ready for questions from the media. As we go in there, again, we ask you to accentuate the message that we have shared here today with regards to staying indoors as best as you can for as long as you can during the storm, and of course to make sure that you're looking out for your neighbor, to be mindful of the concept of neighbor helping neighbor during this time. And then finally, we beg for your patience as the city and our crews are out on the streets to do everything they can to remove the snow and create safe passage for everyone. But let's be patient and know that the work is going on, and they are trying to get to every part of the city as quickly, as efficiently, and as effectively as possible. Let's go to the Q&A.
Alrighty, first up we have David with the Gazette.
Hi, I'm Mayor. This is David from the Gazette. Throughout the week, obviously the storm system has changed in terms of the time that it's supposed to come. I guess how has that affected the plowing schedule and how plow efforts have been estimated?
Yes, I appreciate the question. This is Ulyss Cleckley again with Dottie. And so we want to over-prepare for the storm. We, again, had our plows come in at midnight tonight. Due to the sporadic nature and forecasting of the storm, we wanted to make sure that we were prepared if any bands came in throughout the day today. And also making sure that we put our crews on a 12-hour schedule that makes the most sense and not wait until snowfall occurs so we don't end up being behind in our plowing efforts. So for a large storm like this, it's always better to be over-prepared than under-prepared so we can move the snow effectively.
All right, Anna with Denverite. Anna?
Hello?
Yep.
Hi, yep, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, looking forward to Monday, if you all can talk a little bit about what people can expect, what commuters can expect.
Can you hear that? What commuters expect on Monday?
Yeah, again, we are anticipating that the snowfall will still occur throughout the duration of the day during Sunday and potentially into Monday. And I would say some of the conditions that I mentioned before around having snowpacked and icy areas will still persist until we are able to get to all of the main streets and the side roads as effectively as we can. So I think as the storm continues to progress, we'll continue to monitor the conditions and again provide more updates through our website and also through other ways to communicate out the expectations for what the traveling public would expect on Monday. But we truly feel that through all of our preparation that we will be able to fight this storm in a manner that will hopefully get us back to a good sense of passable roadways throughout our main routes and our local routes for Monday. But it all depends on the nature and the condition of the environment and the big impact of the storm.
Rick with CBS 4, did you have a question? All right, Lance from Denver 7.
Yes, I don't know if this one's for Britta or not. During the last big snowstorm, mid-February, there were a number of folks that lived in tents that did not want to leave their tents. But it wasn't as heavy of a snowfall as what they're anticipating this weekend. So if we get more than a foot of snow or quite a bit more than a foot of snow, will there be an army of volunteers going out like there was in mid-February to help, provide extra blankets, food, water, hand warmers, that type of thing. And what will you do to try to keep those tents, I guess, from collapsing under the weight of the snow, if anything?
Hi, Lance. Thanks for that question. We at the city have many outreach workers that we help to fund, and there are other partner organizations that also have outreach workers, which is part of, I think, as you called, an army of folks that are out there to help folks that are experiencing homelessness outside. Our biggest encouragement today is for everyone who is outside to seek inside accommodation. That's why we've made every bed available, every motel option available. We would encourage all to come in from the conditions overall. That said, we will continue to assist. Of course, our Denver police officers continue to keep a lookout for those in crisis and who need assistance as well. And we have protocols for helping to get people to shelter throughout this storm. So we'll continue to assist in every way possible.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Britta.
All right, Connor with Westward.
Hey, Connor, before you go, let me just comment, Connor, before you ask a question, let me just follow up on Britta's questions, because we want to please join with us in strongly encouraging folks to seek shelter during the storm. Lance referenced February. We actually, at last count, last report I got, lost 4 lives during that period of time that cold band came through Denver, of folks who were trying to remain outdoors in their tents. We will expend a great deal of resources and manpower to be out there to make sure that we're encouraging folks to move indoors. And we just want to have everyone around the city encouraged to join us in encouraging folks to go indoors for their own safety. It's an unnecessary loss of life when that occurs. So I just want to follow up on that because it is important for folks to get indoors. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, I kind of had the same question as Lance, but just to drill down on that, I mean, what teams and agencies specifically are going to be involved in those outreach efforts, and are folks going to be going kind of from tent to tent saying, like, hey, do you want to go into shelter?
Hi, Connor. Thanks for that question. So we have several outreach teams engaged here in the city. We have our early intervention teams that is primarily city staffed. We have the Denver Street Outreach Collaborative. Denver Health has the Substance Use Navigators, which is also in partnership with DDPHE. So we have several different teams that will all be working, plus there's other agencies that have their own outside agencies that have their own outreach as well, that stand ready to assist as many people as possible in accessing shelter and motel rooms, as well as, like I said, our police officers also are on standby and lookout for people in crisis as well.
Anyone else on the line we haven't gotten to?
Hi, this is Allie Levine from 9 News. Can I jump in?
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to ask, in regards to shared streets in Denver, we've seen many of those that are either blocked off for restaurant use, outdoors, or just people walking by. Many of them have those kind of roundabout temporary structures in the middle. What's the plan for those when it comes to plowing, residential and side streets? Will those just be moved? Will you go around those? How will that work?
Yeah, great question. And just to level set, we have about 7 miles or so of shared streets, mostly on our local roadways. We did this as a part of opening up our shared streets to allow people to enjoy the outdoors, particularly around COVID time, so people can walk and bike and roll within the street. At the same time, allowing the street design to be able to accommodate through vehicle traffic. And so we learned a lot through the summertime, and actually we, on all of our shared streets, redesigned the barricade system that we use to address the issue of actually emergency vehicle access as well as snow operations. And so our current designs are in place to allow plows, especially our pickup truck plows, which are a part of our fleet of 36 plows for our residential snow program, to be able to navigate through those barricades. and barriers and plow the street effectively. So we're well positioned there, and that we should see minimal impact on those shared residential streets moving forward. With regards to some of the streets that we actually have closed off for some of our restaurants and the like, we are also making sure that we plow the streets in a manner in conjunction with a lot of our business improvement districts to not prevent or block access during the snow plowing operations, especially for some of the specific blocks that have been shut down around the downtown area. And so we are actively communicating with those business improvement districts to make sure that those areas are plowed, and at the same time making sure that there's good pedestrian access. So thank you for the question.
Any other questions?
That was a phenomenal question, and we thank you for asking that question because it is a new normal, if you will, in the city of Denver in terms of the streets that have been blocked off or set aside for street side or in-street dining and activity. Again, as we look to close this moment up, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank Matt, Britta, and Ulyss, folks who are on post, ready to help the city of Denver confront this storm, as well as to meet the challenges that we're all going to face during the storm. Just to reiterate, please help us in encouraging residents to stay indoors during the storm, and remind them that only if they have to go outdoors to remain indoors and remain safe. It will allow for us to plow the streets safely, allow for our drivers to remain safely, as Director Ulyss has pointed out very clearly, as well as to make sure that you remain safe and to look out for your neighbor, because that's extremely important. We are going to be joined now by City Council President Stacey Gilmore, and I want to thank her for taking the time to join us. Many of you may recall that last week we asked folks to join with us in having a moment of silence, and this is our opportunity to thank everyone across the city for joining this moment, wherever you may be, where we pause to honor and remember those we've lost in Denver during the COVID pandemic. At noon today, the bells above us here at the City and County building will toll 12 times, and once they represent, each toll represents each month we have endured this crisis. We will follow those tolls with a moment of silence lasting for about 20 to 30 seconds. As we go to this moment of silence, let us remember in prayer for everyone who has lost someone during this pandemic. Our prayers for health and healing go out to all of you who have suffered a loss during this pandemic, along with our commitment to support our residents and community on our journey together from rescue to recovery. May God cover each and every one of us and be with us as we continue our journey to defeat this virus. Thank you.